The tarnished coast is a rich, verdant peninsula covered in dense tropical trees and jungle vegetation. But there is one tree that towers above all others. This is the Pale Tree, birthplace of the Sylvari, and built into and around her is their city. Cradled amongst her boughs and sheltered amongst her roots are the twisting, arching pathways and platforms that make up the grove. The Grove is a truly living city, changing and adapting to reflect the needs of its inhabitants. Every structure here, from the buildings to the glittering lights that line the pathways and thoroughfares, is grown and not built. Artists design everything to be in keeping with the beauty of the Pale Tree, and special Sylvari called shapers tend thick leaves and weave branches and vines into buildings, bridges and beautiful spiralling walkways. Their patience and considerable skill has meant the grove is filled with striking structures, from great rooms that hang down from the ceiling and house Sylvari, to delicate pods that float between the levels and transport passengers throughout the city. The best examples of Sylvari architecture can be found on the lowermost level of the grove. Here there are 4 great gardens, each of which reflects one of the cycles of day under which all Sylvari are born. These gardens serve as homes for the Sylvari that emerge from the Pale Tree. Watched over by the firstborns from each cycle, they are a safe haven from the wide and dangerous world outside. In prominent place amongst each garden is the house of the luminary for each cycle. These luminaries are firstborn of great wisdom and prowess, and their houses are perfect for mentors and saplings, visitors and Sylvari alike to gather and learn. In the north is the Garden of Dawn, and at its centre is the house of Aoife. A keen diplomat, Aoife's house is a meeting place where all can gather to tell tales and forge connections to the grove. Giant hibiscus edge the bridge up to her house, and the leaves that shelter the roof mimic those atop the highest branches of the Pale Tree. In the east is the Garden of Noon. Special conduits bring bright sunlight from the surface down through the roots. The effect is a beautiful filtered light that illuminates the swathes of flowers found here. This garden is tended by many Sylvari, who cite its wide open spaces as perfect to spar, train and practice. The luminary of Noon is Neve, and her house is bordered with tall trees with strong, straight trunks. Neve was the firstborn who created the grove's military, the Wardens, and many of these fearless guards of the city can be found patrolling along these pathways. In the south is the Garden of Dusk. Here the house of Cahadins stands framed in vibrant orange leaves. Cahadins was the first shaper, from the moment he tended the plants and made the first homes for his kin. Without his mentorship, the buildings we see in the grove today would likely not have arisen. He and his fellow Duskborn Sylvari are renowned for being intelligent and philosophical, and visitors to his house may learn a great deal if so inclined. Through the Garden of Dusk is the entrance to the city's prison. Here the shapers have coaxed vines and pods to grow sharp and thorny, and each of the prisoners held here, from the wayward Sylvari to the errant dragon minion, live under a pervasive sense of unease, brought upon by their living cages. In the west is the Garden of Night. Here the decorations are conservative but no less beautiful. Thick carpets of softly glowing leaves cloak the ground and hang down around the house of Malamedes. Here also stands the house of Caith, and every so often she can be found brewing poisons or pondering amongst her books and scrolls. Visitors to this garden may be hard-pressed to elicit much from the Sylvari that walk here, Nightborn Sylvari being the most secretive and reserved of all. On the level directly above the gardens are the terraces. These are the areas of industry, always busy and bustling as Sylvari trade and work alongside merchants from across Tyria. Each terrace serves a specific function, arranged around the central trading hub. On the Maker's Terrace are great stations filled with tools for the manufacture of many things. There are looms for spinning and weaving sparkling silk into cloth, great forges for smelting metals, and tables set with wood-turning tools to create the most wondrous of staves and sceptres. Each of these stations is fashioned from natural and plant materials, from the tables that resemble fungi to the ovens built from dried succulent leaves and ceramic as hard as iron. And on Tender's Terrace there are many pods arranged in rows. Visitors to this area must tread carefully and walk quietly, for behind each of these doors someone is slumbering. The pale tree harbours growing Sylvari within these boughs, and provided nothing hinders their safety, each of these pods will birth a new sapling in Soteria. To ensure the best chance at survival, they are tended by menders, dedicated Sylvari that help their mother tree carry their brothers and sisters into the grove. These menders, such as Kaltor and Givra, watch the pods for signs of blight or sickness and make sure the first steps of the saplings are as safe and settled as possible. New saplings need somewhere to learn about the world, and such a place can be found on Scholar's Terrace. Here Sylvari come to learn from their mentors, the adventurers and the scientists of the grove, testing each other's theories and weaving stories about the world around them. There are mentors here that teach Sylvari and visitors alike all the most important tenets of Sylvari society, and if so inclined, anyone can learn about the wise teachings of the centaur Ventari, an ancient caretaker of the Pale Tree from centuries ago. But sometimes too much studying can be detrimental. That is why this terrace also houses a great tavern, where Sylvari sell nectars and sweet drinks, and congregates in great numbers to socialise and unwind. Above the terraces is the upper commons. If the terraces are where the goods and produce of the grove are made, then the upper commons is where they are ferried and transported. Here the wardens train on dummies and hone their weapons, or take much needed rest from their excursions outside the city walls. The upper commons connects to Caledon Path, the main entrance into the grove, and Sylvari ferry goods between the city and the nearby settlements of Caledon Forest at all times of day and night. There is even an Asura gate that connects the grove to Lion's Arch. This gate is the primary conduit for visitors and travellers, and each day members of many races come to visit the grove to trade with its citizens, or learn from their teachings and ways of life. Walking Caledon Path is a humbling experience. The Pale Tree towers above, each of her leaves larger than a single layer of the city below. The pinnacle of the grove is a room sheltered amongst these gigantic, softly glowing leaves. Here, the Pale Tree projects her avatar into the Omphalos chamber, and stands day and night, holding council with her children and meeting emissaries and ambassadors from other cities and settlements. She watches over those that walk her roots and branches with an eerie, otherworldly sentience. And although her benevolent position cannot truly be described as a monarchy, together with the firstborn, she shapes the city and its inhabitants through her teachings and counsel. Many of these teachings stem from Ventari's tablet, which she holds close to her avatar, suspended from the uppermost branches and cradled in vines. Carved into its surface are the tenets that all Sylvari are encouraged to live by. These words form the moral and ethical foundation of those living here, and the chamber is visited by those seeking to reflect on its teachings. Ultimately, the grove is a living, breathing city that reflects the Pale Tree's steadfast spirit. Sylvari and visitors alike are embraced and welcomed here, able to flourish under her watchful care. Despite the turmoil in the land surrounding her, the Pale Tree stands tall, ever sheltering the city within.